This video is brought to you by America First Insight. Help support the growing conservative movement by becoming a member today. And if you want to support this channel, you can also use the code REAL when becoming a member. Thank you and enjoy the video. So as everyone knows, President Biden has been on the decline for years now, and the Democrat Party and the mainstream media, they were complicit in the cover-up. Don't let them fool you. They were complicit. They knew exactly what was going on. He was declining big time. And now, in the last couple of weeks, we have gotten more information about how bad President Biden's decline really was. And holy crap, it is 100 times worse than anyone thought. It seems like every day we're getting more and more information about this brewing scandal, and it's getting bad. Now, before I continue, guys, I need you to like and share this video right now. It's a great way to support the content, a great way to help the video out in the algorithm, so like and share the video right now. And if you aren't subscribed, make sure to smash that subscribe button right now. It's all great ways to support the content. I greatly appreciate it. It's a great way to help the content out. But enough of promotional stuff. We got to talk about this growing scandal about Biden's health, because it's getting worse every single day. And I know a couple weeks ago, we talked a little bit about it. We've gotten more information. And the Democrat Party, they're in a complete panic. They're in a complete panic right now over how to handle this, because they were complicit. Let's cut the bullshit. They knew. They knew exactly what was going on. They knew that this guy could not serve another 4 years. Hell, back in 2020, it was clear that something was wrong. Now, obviously, back in 2020, he was in far better shape. Like, you could argue that, well, he's just getting older, and when you get older, you slow down. Everyone does that. That's not a problem, all right? But the difference is, you could tell, even back in 2020, that, oh, wait, there's something wrong here. The campaign events he did do, which he did like 5 of them because of COVID, you could tell that there's something wrong here. Something is not right. But most people thought it's just him getting older, but it's not the end of the world. But now, it's quite clear that he had a problem this entire time. And in 2020, they got away with it because of COVID. If it wasn't for COVID, back then it would have gotten exposed that he's not 100% there. But there's a clear difference between Biden back in 2020 and Biden of 2024. It's clear. Because at least in 2020, you could say, well, he's still kind of there, and sometimes he's halfway coherent. But in 2024, he melted. His brain melted. He had no clue what was going on. He did not know where he was. It was getting bad. And we're getting more information about how bad it really was behind the scenes. Remember the Robert Hur clips? How they said, oh, Robert Hur, he's a far-right, Trump-supporting nutjob for writing that stuff down. Yeah, turns out what he wrote down about Biden not remembering what was going on, and he could not even prosecute him because he could not stand in front of a jury. Yeah, he actually wrote that down. It turns out he was correct. During that interview, which now was released, he did not know anything. He did not know when he was vice president, did not know when Trump won, forgot when his son Beau died, and he was the president. And he did not remember a single thing. Like, listen, it's one thing if he just misspoke. Like, he accidentally said 2017 instead of, like, 2015 or whatever. That's one thing. But he got every single thing incorrect. Yet, he's a president. He is the one that is running the country. Yeah, I call bullcrap. I don't believe that. But the point is, it was getting bad. Yet the mainstream media and the Democrat Party, they covered it up. They pretended that everything was fine. President Biden was perfectly normal, in fact, in the best shape of his life, and it turns out it was all bullcrap. None of it was real. There's a reason he was in a basement for 95% of his presidency. They knew there was something wrong with him, and they covered it up. And now the Democrat Party, they're in a real bad situation. Like, I'm not exaggerating when I say they're in a lose-lose situation no matter what they do. And the Democrats, they're in trouble. Because no matter what they choose, they're going to get killed politically because of this. Because no matter what they say, people are going to say, you're nuts. This is insane that this ever happened. And they've really got two options. Either They could admit to the world that, yeah, we covered everything up. President Biden was on the decline since 2019, but we pretended that he was fine. We used COVID as an excuse to throw him in the basement. Yeah, we lied to the American people. Yeah, we worked with the mainstream media to cover this all up. That's what they could do. And if they do that, why would anyone ever vote Democrat ever again? Because if they're lying about something that big, that they knew about this and they lied about it and they covered it up, why would anyone ever vote for these people? Because if they're going to lie about that, they're going to lie about anything. But there is a second option, and it seems like the Democrat Party, at least the base, they're going with option 2. And that's a claim that this is all a grand conspiracy. It's a MAGA ploy to stop Democrats. Yeah, this is real. According to a bunch of Democrats, this is the Democrat base now. They really believe that Jake Tapper, the guy that helped cover this up, he lied to the American people for years, and then the millisecond Biden's gone, he admits that he knew about this and lied. And in fact, he's trying to sell his crappy book because of it. He's trying to claim, oh no, I never knew. He lied. But the point is, his book details a lot of really bad things. How he needed a wheelchair in his second term. It was getting bad. Everyone knew about this. No one knew who he was for 5 months. It was bad. But according to Democrats, they're all claiming it's a grand conspiracy by Jake Tapper, who's an undercover agent of MAGA. This is real. USA Today is reporting that a bunch of Democrats, they're actually claiming it's a grand conspiracy. They're claiming that Jake Tapper, who covered up this scandal, is actually an undercover MAGA agent because he sold this shitty book. What? I wonder why Democrats are losing. Gee, I wonder why. So instead of admitting to the world that you fucked up, which is still awful for you politically, but at least some people will say, okay, at least you're holding yourselves accountable. You're admitting to the world that you effed up. It's too late for it, but fine, whatever. Instead of doing that, these nut jobs are actually claiming it's a grand conspiracy by Jake Tapper and the MAGA Republicans to sink Biden's presidency or something. Huh? Jake Tapper was one of the biggest pushers of this narrative that President Biden was perfectly fine. Every single day for years, he was saying Biden was fine, everything is normal, and even his own book, he's missing out critical details about what actually happened. He mysteriously left out some very damning pieces of evidence that we all know about. Like, he had the scripted interviews, he had the scripted notes for who to call on during the press conferences, and he did not talk about that. So even his own book they're claiming is a conspiracy, they're actually covering up a lot of what happened. And Jake Tapper's now running around and saying, well, President Trump, he's actually not mentally fit. We need to be more transparent. Huh? You're now worried about President Trump's health after you covered up this crap for years. And that's the spin. That's what Jake Tapper and the mainstream media, that's what they're going to claim. That, oh, we were wrong, which they weren't, that they lied. It's one thing if they actually didn't know, but everyone knew that there's something wrong with them. But they're now claiming, oh, we were wrong. But we're doing this because we need more transparency because President Trump is actually not transparent about his health. Yeah, that's the spin they're trying to push. And the thing is, no one's going to fall for it. People are going to say, no, we're not falling for this crap again. But this is the narrative that the mainstream media and some Democrats are going to push. They're going to say, actually, we're doing this for transparency reasons because President Trump is never transparent. Yeah, sure. President Trump is not transparent, yet Joe Biden was. And the Democrat Party, they totally never covered this up. It's a scam. Democrats are trying to get out of this scot-free. They're trying to claim we did nothing wrong. That's what Democrats are trying to push for because they know that this is bad. This is a really bad scandal. But I really believe that this scandal, which I personally believe is one of the biggest in American history, it's going to get 100 times worse. as according to Ed Martin, who is the Associate Deputy Attorney General, very powerful person. It's not some random guy off the street. This guy is one of the most powerful people at the DOJ. So if he's saying this stuff, it's legit. But the point is, he is saying that a couple days ago, a whistleblower came to him and said that, hey, in the last couple weeks of President Biden's presidency, there were these magical pardons that came out of nowhere. There were like 3,000 of them, if not way more. It was crazy what was happening. Well, it turns out that it wasn't actually Biden pardoning these people. No, apparently it was an inner circle that actually did the pardons, namely Ron Klain and Joe Biden. So these are some pretty big names. And they used the auto pen to sign these pardons. And that's the scandal. That's the big question we have. Did they use the auto pen to effectively run the country? Because if they did that, we have a massive problem. Because if President Biden did not sign any of these pardons, this is the biggest scandal in American history, because it was never President Biden signing this stuff. It was his inner circle running the show, using the auto pen to fake the signature, which I gotta be clear about one thing. Just because they use an auto pen does not mean it's fake. Every president uses an auto pen. That's just a fact. And because there's so many documents, you know, it takes forever, that's why. But the difference is, presidents know what's being signed. It's not like they don't know. They know exactly what they're signing and approving. Under Biden, though, did he? Did he even know any of the pardons he signed? Maybe for his son Hunter, but outside of that, all these pardons, they were very fishy the way they happened. They had some weird signatures. It's like, wait, hold on here. What's going on here? Why are these signatures all exactly the same? And it turns out they were auto pen. And we got to figure out who signed this. If President Biden did not sign this, good Lord. Talk about a scandal. That means everything was fake. That means under the last, 4 to 5 years, we weren't ran by Biden. President Biden was not running the show, which we kind of knew about this. But in reality, it was an inner circle. It was an oligarchy that was running the show for years. Talk about a scandal. That would be the biggest scandal in American history. Because at least you could argue, well, President Biden, he actually signed this stuff. Maybe he did. I don't know. But if he didn't, that just confirms everything we've been saying. He knew nothing about what was going on. It was a scam. He wasn't running anything. In reality, it probably was Joe Biden. It was probably Hunter Biden. So, yeah, this scandal is going to get real bad for Dems. And I don't know what they do. Because what can you do? You either admit to the world that, yeah, we covered this up, we knew about this, and President Biden, he was mentally handicapped for his entire presidency, or do they say, no, it's a grand conspiracy by Jake Tapper, it's a MAGA conspiracy, and actually, no, we're doing this for transparency reasons. What do you do? And now the auto pen stuff's coming out, and apparently everyone knew about it, they're getting lawyers already. This can get bad. And I'm hoping that Ed Martin and the DOJ, they go after these people. You have to make an example of these people quickly, because you can never allow this to happen ever again. And we have to have serious discussions about reforms to the system when it comes to auto pen stuff. Because now, they just open the can of worms. If it comes out that they actually did this where they signed everything, President Biden knew nothing about it, what's stopping future administrations from doing the same thing? You see the problem here? This can get bad quickly. But anyways, folks, thank you so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, and of course, join the channel today. Godspeed to all of you.